Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tales of Woe. I am your humble storyteller, Tim, and today another tale from within the dungeon of the Mad Mage. This one takes place a little further on down the track after the previous story, but not too far along. But regardless, the group had managed to make their way down to one of the lower levels, actually a level just below the one that we were on, so just below the Druid Grove level, and wandering through this underground. This one was more like an interior temple of some description, and we came across an archway which we didn't quite understand what the deal was, and it had, for the life of me, I can't remember what the iconography was, but it looked to be like some form of movement or some sort of dance or something like that on it. And I was fine with just ignoring it, but the rest of the party was obsessed with getting through this door. This is a puzzle they had to solve. Unbeknownst to them, this was a puzzle that they were not able to solve, even if they, or even weren't able to pass through, because in the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, there's a series of gates that require you to do a special thing in order to open. They lead to different levels of the dungeon. However, you have to be certain level in order to get through certain gates. And this gate was a gate that we were not high enough level to pass through. So even if they succeeded, we weren't getting through it. But because they were so determined to get through it, the DM let the door open anyway, after a suitable punishment to one of the players, i.e. having the character's arm basically ripped off and completely broken. But the gate was open, so not wanting to waste the opportunity, everyone just dived on through, and me as Aurora just, fine. And so we're through, and we're into another dank and dangerous area, which I didn't think was that big of a deal at the time. Oh boy, was I wrong. So outside of this room, we find a group of cultists chanting about in a circle with the ceremony, and so I decide to use disguise myself to look like one of them, and join in with the ceremony to find out what it is that is going on. Our rogue player, he disappears into the shadows, and everyone else basically observes what's going on. And it turns out that this is a death cult. So awesome. And long story short, they all get completely murdered. We bring death upon them, and then we make our way to the next room where there is a group of people also. Actually, I believe one of the members of the group that were doing the chanting, they ran for it, and so we chased them down into another room, which appeared to be like a preparation room for ceremonies, with like wardrobes and other bits of costumes and whatnot about the place. Everyone in there died, and then the DM describes the next door, and that there is like the sound of like lightning and even more power and chanting coming from this other room. And like, ooh, okay, here we go. And so I look to my rogue friend and I say, the password is banana, and then I run off. And he has no idea what the hell that means. But this is a lesson for people to help with your role playing, and the point will come up soon. Anyway, so we go into the next room, and this room involves a very ornate chamber, surrounded in a whole bunch of very menacing-looking statues with 6 robed individuals chanting and shooting lightning into a ball in the middle, like a dark sphere in the center of this room. Very, very ominous. And so I secure myself within the room, and I basically look about trying to observe what's going on. And I look at the sphere, and I didn't really pick anything up initially, at least according to the DM at the time. And then all hell breaks loose. One of them recognizes me as not one of their number, and the fight is on. The rest of the group outside of the room hears the fight kick off, and they charge on in. And because I am the one closest to the door at the time, the rogue aims his bow to shoot me, and I shout, "Banana!" And that's why you use code words if you're infiltrating an area and you look like everyone else. You need to have a way for them to distinguish you from the rest of the group. So always remember that as a small DM tip or player tip. Create little secret words for situations like that. One being for infiltration protocol, and the other one for doppelganger protocol. In case one of you accidentally gets taken over by a doppelganger, come up with a series of code words that only you as the players know and the DM does not, so they cannot bamboozle you with that one. Anyway, so the fight is on. Everyone is getting killed. I am having the time of my life because I'm able to use my performance and deception to think, "My lord, oh, thank you. You need to stay them." And I get behind them and stab. I'm just running around, pretending to be an out of control cultist begging for their help. And when I get close to them, I just knock them down with my weapons. But eventually, the whole group gets wiped out. The enemy group gets wiped out, and the DM describes that as soon as the last person falls, the sphere begins to grow and grow and go whoa, 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 whoa. And we're like, "Oh shit, get out!" We run out of the room, we slam the door, and he describes that there's an explosion and an absolutely evil and just unearthly scream coming from the room, and like, "Ooh, okay, let's not go into that room again." And so we decide to start wandering around the rest of the room, and then the DM makes his ultimate play against me. He played me beautifully, and I cannot fault him for this. It was a brilliant maneuver, but you've got to be wary about these kind of situations. And he says to me that because I was close enough during my running about that I was able to see inside the sphere, or at least I was able to see the sphere closer as we were running about the temple, or the ceremony, sorry. And what I saw looked like a winged copper creature. Now, to my mind, that describes to me as, "Ooh, that sounds like a copper dragon." Copper dragon being friendly for the most part, and also one of the ones that actually really enjoy talking to bards. So in my mind, that the whole sequence goes, okay, death cult, they're torturing this good creature in order to appease their dark gods. We interrupted the ceremony. The scream was the ceremony failing and their gods being unhappy with us. The dragon is now in there, most likely hurt, and so if we go in, we have an allied copper dragon wormling that we can help to get out of this place. So I'm thinking all positive things. And so I say, "Hang on, I want to go check something." So everyone else is busy looting the treasure room, that was the room with all the costumes and whatnot that we saw before, and the room was just off that. So I open the door and am immediately swamped by 6 shadow assassins. Now, shadow assassins are way above our current power level at this stage. We've basically just unleashed a TPK on the group, and that's almost what happened at this stage. So I get stabbed 4 times, I go down, I'm on 0 hit points, I am bleeding out. The next couple zoom over, they hit our artificer, the artificer goes down. The other one comes in, hits our warlock, the warlock goes down. So all 3 of the party members that were in the room are out. The rogue was out of the room, hears a scream, looks in, sees us, hides, runs. He's not risking himself for us. Fortunately for everyone, apart from me, the other party members have familiars, as it were. The warlock has a pseudo dragon, which knows to give him healing potions if he goes down. So it feels up into his body, hits him with a healing potion, he's back up. Goes to the artificer. The artificer has a steel. Pardon me. The artificer has a steel defender. Steel defender goes up to the artificer, it gets him up, he's up, they both run. because they're not sticking about with any of this. They use disengage, they get the hell out of there, they can't fight this, leaving me behind on my own. And I'm thinking to myself, well, it's been a good run, 2 years of playing Aurora, and this will be his final session. Comes to my turn, first death save, natural 20. I'm back up on 1 hit point. I look around, I see that everyone else is bolted. I use Dimension Door. Boom! I'm back in the room where we first started this adventure, when we came in through that stupid door, and I'm smacking around. He's like, let us out, let us out, let us out. The rogue at this stage has separated himself completely from the group, and he's now hiding in another room, which turns out to be completely populated by vampires. This is not a good place for us to be. While we're smacking about inside this room, we discover a secret door. And so we get through the secret door, and we're running, and we're literally Scooby-Dooing our way through this place, finding secret doors along the way. The rogue finds another secret door in his area, leads to a different section that wasn't connected to us. At this stage, we've abandoned him. We've now got 2 separate chase sequences going. Actually, no, tell a lie. Not at this stage, we haven't. His secret door leads to the same area that we came into, so we're now formed up as a group. We run down another section, and we find another secret door with a room. It's a dead end filled with mist and strange tapestries. We hear the Shadow Assassins coming after us, so we say, all right, we've got to keep moving, let's go. The rogue decides to hide. He rolls something like a 33 in his stealth, so he's well hidden. He just decides he's not going to move. He's going to stay where he is. And so we're running, and the Shadow Assassins are hot on our tail. We manage to make our way through the place and back up, and we find a ramp leading up. We go, awesome, we're out of this place. We get up to the next level, where we are promptly ambushed by Dwagar, and another fight ensues, but I'll save that for a little bit later on. Meanwhile, the rogue is running for his life on his own. He runs completely in the opposite direction to us, avoiding vampires, falls into a pit trap, nearly gets killed by the Shadow Assassins, but does manage to find a room filled with coffins, and manages to find one that was empty, seals himself inside, and that was where the session ended. So, I guess the moral to this tale is, 1, never be afraid to run. 2, always have a protocol for infiltrating. And 3, never, ever listen to the DM when you know he's going to put you in a place that is far more dangerous than what it really should be. Because the DM can never be trusted. He wants to put you into danger. He wants to see you fail, or at least he wants to see you get into a situation where you're going to have to run for your lives. And it was at this stage that I stopped trusting our DM, or at least second-guessing every single description that he gives to us. However, I will say this. This is also, as a player, those are the morals. But as a DM, here's the other moral to this story, is that you should always do this, and then, at least for the most part, don't ever do it again. Because what you've done is you've established a pattern that you don't necessarily need to repeat. And because they're now always going to be looking for this pattern, the tension is going to be palpable in the game. There's going to be a bomb underneath the table, and the bomb is never going to go off. And so you're going to have rattled players, you're going to have freaked out players. And panic players are always a lot more interesting to play with than players that are just infinitely confident that there is nothing that you can do to stop them. So, thank you for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe. I have been your humble storyteller, Tim. And be sure to come back for the next Tale of Woe. Bye!